All right, UFC Fight Night in Tampa, Florida is happening this Saturday, December 14th, and we are going to break down the entire card. I got my notes here. I got my fake microphone for the aesthetic. I'm ready to yap. Let's get into it. Starting off, Josephine Knudsen versus Pierre Rodriguez. I know Pierre Rodriguez has got some like grappling in her back pocket, I guess, from what I'm seeing, but Knudsen is actually just technically good. She's actually one of the more solid WMMA fighters, and being technically solid is going to get you pretty far in the division until you run into a big chain wrestler, honestly. And Pierre Rodriguez is not a big chain wrestler. Knudsen's just going to tune her up, just do whatever she wants with her, honestly. It's going to be a pretty clean sweep, 30-27 unanimous decision, in my opinion. Excuse me. Then we got Davy Grant and Ramon Tavares. I know Grant's getting kind of old and he's like not that good, but Ramon Tavares just isn't that good in my opinion. He beat Sergey City by split decision after losing to him via TKO on, I believe it was the Contender Series. He just doesn't pose any threat. And Davy Grant has just a better skill set all around. Like I said, I know he's getting older, and I think he had surgery recently, if I'm not mistaken, and that could affect his performance. But man, I just think he has so many more options in this fight than Ramon Tavares does, and I just don't see Tavares getting it done. I think Davy Grant's going to get it done by decision. Anyways, Miranda Maverick and Jamie Lynn Horth. Just looking at the tail of the tape and looking at the records, Jamie Lynn Horth is 34 and doesn't even have half the experience that Maverick has at 27. And I know like that a 7-1 record is like on paper better than a 16-5-1 record, I believe. But Jamie Lynn Horth isn't an up-and-comer. If she was 27 with a 7-1 record, I would be leaning towards her. I would be favoring that more. But Jamie Lynn Horth is 34. She's getting up there in age. She's pretty much at that age where it's about time where you might want to start calling it quits, or about time where you might want to start thinking about retirement in a couple years, maybe even 3 years, I'd say. Miranda Maverick has just got so much more experience, and she's 27. She's got plenty of room to grow in her career, and she's been proven against good UFC level of competition. She beat Julian Robertson. That is a solid win. We know now that Julian Robertson is a really solid fighter, and she beat Julian Robertson, I believe, 3 years ago. I think it was in 2021. And she beat Percival Cachoeira. I think she finished her by submission, if I believe. Yeah, she submitted her, which is pretty solid. I know Cachoeira is a bit older, but that's still a solid win. And she has good wins over Judakovic, Blanchfield, and Barber. She took Macy Barber to a split decision, man. She's been proven, and she against these top level fighters, and she's been proven that she can at the very least hang with them. And Jamie Lynn Horth just hasn't shown that. She's kind of a nobody, honestly. And I think this is going to be another clean sweep decision, 29-28, maybe 30-27, unanimous decision. We got Miles Johns and Felipe Lima on next. Miles Johns was originally supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt. I think that would have been a really fun fight to watch. I was leaning towards Garbrandt in that fight just because I think he can do pretty much everything that Miles Johns can do better. I think Miles Johns is just a little pulled down Cody Garbrandt. You know, he's got that KO power on the feet, so does Garbrandt. And Garbrandt's faster, you know, and Miles Johns has some wrestling too, but so does Garbrandt. And I think Garbrandt is slightly better in the wrestling. I know he got subbed by Figgy, but that's Figgy. And I just think that Felipe Lima is just a bit better. You know, I think all around he's better. He made his UFC debut not long ago. He only has one fight in the UFC, and that's against Mohamed Naimov. I believe that's his name, not Mohamed Naimov. And Naimov's a good fighter. He's honestly a really solid fighter. I know he was kind of cheating against, gosh, what's his name? I don't know, that's not Brad Pickett. It's like the young version of Brad Pickett. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. But anyways, he's kind of robbing that guy and cheating against that guy, but he's still a solid fighter, and he submitted Muhammad Naimov. He's got better. I'd say that means he's got better ground game. John's, like I said, he always has a KO power on the feet, but Felipe Lima is just, I think, is smarter and more technical than he is. And he's not going to let that happen in my mind. He's just not going to let Miles Johns catch him with a, big hook like he did his previous opponents. Like, he's just not going to let that happen. I think he's going to submit Miles Johns in about round 3. He'll make it technical on the feet. He'll entertain him on the feet, but I think if he's going to really look to play it smart, I think he can take him down, and I think he can submit him in the later rounds. Anyways, Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. Padilla hasn't proven anything other than finishing Julian Erosa, which Sean Woodson also did. Also, he lost to Guram Kutateledze. No, not Guram. Other bearded dude. Gosh dang it. I cannot think of his name. Anyways, I'll think of it later. But Sean Woodson has actually made a good name for himself in the unranked pool of the featherweight division. He's beat Charles Jourdain. Like I said, he's beat Julian Erosa, finished him. He beat Dennis Bazukia. He beat Yusuf Zalal. Yusuf Zalal is a really, really solid and a really dangerous unranked featherweight. And I think Zalal could become ranked very soon. And like I said, Sean Woodson beat him, split decision, but he still beat him, right? Padilla, who's he beat? Like I said, he's only beat Erosa and then one other guy. I cannot remember his name, I believe. Woodson's just better everywhere. I know Woodson's weird and lanky and awkward, and I know people keep bringing it up, his physique, but it's working, obviously. He's only lost one time in the UFC. Gosh, I can't speak. Sean Woodson's going to make it look easy, honestly. Padilla's got nothing to offer, and Woodson by clean decision. Yoel Alvarez and Jakar Close. Man, Yoel Alvarez by TKO in round 2. Jakar Close is pretty mid, honestly. I know he got a slam KO recently, but he's just he's okay. He's not like, Jakar Close isn't bad. I mean, he had Dariushin trouble a few years ago, but he's just he's okay. He's mid. But Yoel Alvarez is dangerous. He has finished every single fight that he's won in the UFC. The only UFC fight that's gone to a decision was his debut, and that was a loss, but it's okay. It's his debut, right? He's gonna finish him easy. He's tall, he's long, he's 6'3" fighting at lightweight, which is crazy. And Close looks huge, but he's listed at 5'9". I don't know how much I trust the UFC height stats. They're kind of weird when you compare everybody together, and it's like, it's not really that tall, he's not really that short, whatever. I'll just go with it for now. Yoel Alvarez is tall, he's long, he's dangerous, he's got power, and he's got decent grappling too. And I think just wherever he wants to fight, he'll take it. I think he's going to feel him out, tune him up a little bit in the first round, maybe rock him, and then in the second round, he's just going to finish him. It's going to be easy for Yoel Alvarez. Give him a ranking shot and maybe another fight. I know he lost to Arman Sarukian in 3 fights ago. This will be a 3-fight win streak after that loss, and it's Arman Sarukian. He's the number 1 contender. He has a legit argument to beating Islam. I'm not saying he beats Islam, but he has a legit argument to beat Islam. That's no shame in losing to Arman Sarukian, man. So maybe give him one more fight and then throw him a ranking spot. I don't know who you would face. Maybe like a gosh dang, man, I don't know who he'd fight. Maybe if we want to, if we're talking about the unranked pool for a second, He smokes Drew Dober. He smokes Matt Frivola. He smokes Bobby Green. He's already smoked Elvis Brenner. I think he would beat Oralby. I think that's pretty given, which means he probably beats Rombetsky. He beats Rombetsky. He beats Diego Ferreira, in my opinion. I know, okay, here's the thing about Diego Ferreira. Yap sesh real quick. Carlos Diego Ferreira, he is a dangerous unranked lightweight, but he's 39. And he's kind of dodgy, honestly. I know he's dangerous, but he's not going to stick around for very long, all right? And I think Alvarez beats him. If Dustin Poirier beat him way back in the day in his lightweight return, Alvarez is going to beat him. Okay. He beats pretty much all the other unranked guys. Give him a ranking shot. All right. Anyways, Michael Johnson and Otman Azaitar. I know Michael Johnson is old, and I know he's been knocked out a couple times, but he's actually still kind of good, and he's still very fast. Maybe not as fast as he was in his prime. Okay, duh. But he's still very good. And he's still very dangerous. Otman Azaitar has nothing to offer. Otman Azaitar is just angry. That's all he is. He just commits crimes. And that's the only reason he's been brought into the UFC, because him and his brother had this like aura status of them, are like, these guys commit crimes and they fight in MMA and stuff. And it's like, well, he's been knocked out in his last two, once by Matt Frivola. He got knocked out by Matt Frivola. Matt Frivola is pretty mid. Honestly, watching Matt Frivola fight is really weird to watch. Like, he just fights so technically bad. Like, he just does. And you got knocked out by Frivola. That's pretty not great, honestly. And Michael Johnson, I think, he's gonna KO him in round 2. Like I said, Azaitar's got nothing to offer. He has nothing at all. And Johnson is still fast, is still technically sound. I think he's just going to tune him up for 2 rounds until he gets the finish. Anyways, Navajo Sterling versus Tuco Tucos. I'm going to say Tuco Tucos because that's fun. I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce his name, but it's fun. Yeah, Tuco Tucos is just bad. He's just a bum. That's it. And Navajo Sterling's going to knock him out in round 1. That's all I have to say about it. Honestly, Navajo Sterling could turn out to be like bad or mid in the UFC. Either way, he still smokes Tuco Tucos. That's it. Anyways, we're done with that. On to the next one. Yanez versus Daniel Marcos. Also, I don't know if Adrian Yanez wants to be called Yanez or Yanez, because I know commentators made a mention in the Jonathan Martinez fight that he changed the pronunciation of his name to Yanez because of heritage stuff, I guess. And I don't know if he wants to still be called Yanez or Yanez, but whatever. Whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. I know everyone's still calling him Yanez, so whatever. Anyways, in my opinion, here's the thing. Daniel Marcos isn't that good. I know he's 16-0 and undefeated and blah, 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 right? But I don't think he's like that good. People are hyping him up a little bit and he's just kind of okay, in my opinion. I think he could become ranked at some point. I think he has the technical skill level to be able to like work his way through fights. And I think that's kind of why he's good and he's undefeated. He has been he's been handed robberies, first against Davey Grant, and then in his most recent fight against Castaneda. Man, like I said, he's not that good, but neither is Yanez. Like, Yanez does slick boxing. I think that Yanez could win this fight. This is my 50-50 fight of the card. This is my fight where I generally don't feel confident on who's going to win. The rest of the fights, I feel pretty confident on who I think is going to win. Maybe the Davey Grant fight is a toss-up, but I still feel more confident on that fight than this fight. This fight, I genuinely don't know, because on one hand, like I said, Yanez is proven to be decently dangerous with his hands, and he has slick boxing. If he doesn't just get sloppy and get into a brawl, I think if he gets sloppy and gets into a brawl, that's where he gets caught. But if he just plays patient and he just stays technical, then I think he could beat Daniel Marcos. However, I'm going to go with Daniel Marcos on this fight by like a close decision, maybe a split decision. I just think that, like I said earlier, he has the technical proficiency to be able to slowly, like, just do what he needs to do in the fight to win and to just outpoint Yanez where it matters. And so I think that's going to be enough to give Marcos the slight edge in this fight. Vitor Petrino and Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby is a former Glory kickboxer, man. He arguably beat Khalil Roundtree. I don't care. He's not that good. He hasn't been proven that he's like good in MMA. He's just been proven that he's pretty mid. And he's lost 4 out of his last 5, I believe. Like we said, he arguably should have beaten Khalil Roundtree. But whatever, right? He's getting older. He hasn't had a successful career. And also, Vitor Petrino is pretty mid, too. He's also proven to be really stupid when he just guillotined himself against Anthony Smith. That was embarrassing. I don't think he's going to do anything like that against Dustin Jacoby. Petrino's more physically imposing. I think he's just a bit more dangerous of a striker than Dustin Jacoby. I mean, Jacoby's got maybe the technical whatever in this fight, but Petrino's just heavy. He's a heavier hitter, and I think it's just going to be more imposing. And also, if Jacoby got knocked out in a round by, who am I trying to say? Reyes. I think Petrino's gonna finish him in the second round. I think Dustin Jacoby is 1 or 2 more fights away from ending his career in the UFC, and I think this is going to be it for him, or at least maybe one fight away from being it for him. All right, on to the next one. Manel Kape and Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva is not great. He has heavy hands and he has power, but Manel Kape is just skillfully so much better. He's not going to let a knockout happen. He's just not. I think if he wants to keep it on the feet, I think he can stay on the outside and just jab on the outside and throw some kicks on the outside to keep Bruno Silva occupied. Let's remember that Bruno Silva was getting tuned up against Cody Durden before he got a flash knee KO. It was still great setup for a KO. Good on him for beating Cody Durden. But I just think Kape is just better. He's just better than Bruno Silva. Like I said, Bruno Silva has some power, but he just doesn't have the skill to be able to beat someone like Manel Kape. Pretty easy decision for me by Kape. I could see him maybe like TKOing him or something, but like, I don't know. I think it's going to go to a decision. All right, co-main event, Cub Swanson and Billy Quarantillo. This is also kind of a toss-up fight. I know Cub Swanson's 41, and he's old and he's not that good anymore, and he arguably lost in his last fight. Like, I think he thought he lost in his last fight, and he was surprised at the win. But Billy isn't that good either. Billy Quarantillo is not that good either. I guess Billy Quarantillo is a bit more dangerous than Cub Swanson, but I think Swanson's going to pull the old grizzly vet and just out-technical Billy Quarantillo to a decision. I think it'll be a close split decision, and I think Cub Swanson's just going to edge it out with just his skill. All right, main event. Main event time. Colby Covington and Joaquin Buckley. Not only am I very much hoping that Joaquin Buckley finishes Colby Covington, I think he will. This is a short notice fight technically for both of them, but more so for Colby. Buckley was preparing for Ian Gary, and now he's been given Colby Covington. I just don't think that Colby Covington has it anymore, not only skill-wise. He is 36. He'll be 37 in a month, I believe. He doesn't have it mentally anymore, I don't think. He's just not hungry. He doesn't care really anymore. He doesn't fight that much. He fights like once a year. And like I said, I just don't think skill for skill, Buckley's better on the feet. I just think he is. Not only is he more powerful, I think he's going to have the skill levels to be able to get inside and uh, start tagging Colby with big shots. And I think he's so much more physical than Colby is. I know Colby could apply the pressure and take over in the later rounds with the wrestling, but I just think that Buckley is going to be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he'll be able to reverse Colby. Like I said, Colby's just not going to have that mindset anymore. He doesn't care. It doesn't seem like he cares too much about fighting anymore, although he probably says he does. But Colby talks a lot and doesn't deliver on anything, really. And Buckley is just hungry. He's knocked out Stephen Thompson. He's schooled Nursultan Ruziboyev, and he TKO'd Vicente Luque. I think for me, if you're KOing Stephen Thompson and contending with him on the feet, you're going to have no problem with Colby on the feet. I know Colby, like I said, he's overwhelming. He'd have the pressure, but like I said a few times already, he just doesn't have that dog in him anymore. And Buckley has that dog in him. I think he's going to outdog Colby, and I think it's going to be a late TKO. I think either third or fourth round TKO for Buckley. I know those historically have been Colby's rounds where Colby starts to take over, but I think he's going to wilt under the pressure, ironically, of Buckley. And I think that's how this is going to play out. I think that's how this whole card plays out. Those are my predictions. Those are my final predictions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the card if you go watch it. I know I will be watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.